may I present the Mr. and Mrs. Talbot and Corinna Dakota.
Well, we're just gonna have a first just a short word from best man. Come on, best man.
I don't know if Corinna knew what she was getting into by asking me to give a speech at the wedding, but I'll try to keep it nice and keep everything under the table. Anyways, it's amazing to see how fast we grow up. Like the photo kind of made me realize last night, it seemed like that long ago while we were sneaking around. I won't mention the stuff we were doing, but you know, sneaking around and just going in the jungle, sneaking around and going to swim and stuff like that. And he's also was one of the older ones and would kind of like take me on and watch after me, even though we weren't breaking the rules. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep some stuff under the table. But Dakota is one of the most closest and most generous friends and brother that I grew up with. And if I might say, since we were at Joyce a kid, I think I know it's a bunch of guys, but they all had an eye for Corinna. So it was like, she'll be like playing outside, you know, because we're like neighbors, and all of a sudden like my Hawan boys are like, you know, up in the distance staring out, you know. And yeah, I don't think Corinna knows this. But yeah, the Dakota's a very, like my mom has previously said, he's a very faithful and kind person. And he's a very responsible person. At least until he met Corinna, then the whole world became Corinna and everything was second to that. It's kind of funny how, it's kind of funny how you could like mold any topic we're talking about into something about Corinna or relate Corinna to it. I don't know how you can relate like God's love and football to Corinna. But anyways, unfortunately, I only knew Corinna when I was really young and never got a chance to actually get to know her really well in person. But from what I heard, sometimes too much, she's a really good person, and too much for Dakota. But it's definitely, from the week I've been here and by watching and looking, I can definitely see why Dakota has fallen head over to his sport. And anyways, I look forward to getting to know the two of you guys better as a couple and getting to know Corinna, and I pray that God will bless you and your babies to come.
We'll also have word from Maid. Jess?
Wow, it feels so surreal because it feels like just yesterday me and Corinna were just little children, and we used to hide away into my grandparents' house in the back room, and we used to shut the door during family time and just talk about boys and just talk about our future marriages, and we used to just, you know, list the qualities in which we wanted in our future husbands. And I remember those qualities, and maybe I'll list a few of them for you now so you can get an idea of the guy, the perfect guy which Corinna had in her mind when she was 13 years old. He had to be taller than her, number one. He didn't have to be incredibly handsome, but he needed to be above at least a 5. He had to love God and have the same focus in terms of ministry. And now I guess I'm looking at like Dakota now, and especially like looking at Corinna growing up, I just feel so much joy in my heart because I don't know, I've seen a lot of guys after Corinna in the past, but the thing is there has never been one that I felt has really, I guess, fit her calling and fit her, I guess, vision for the Quran and for Burma and I guess missions. And then Dakota came along, and Dakota, he is like was shared before, he's someone that fits Corinna like a glove because they're quite opposite. And the way, when I was thinking about doing this speech, like this picture came to mind. And what I saw was like this beautiful stained glass window with many different colors. And that stained glass window represented Dakota and Corinna. And from that stained glass window, the sun was shining through. And that sun represented God. But in this room, on the ground, was many colors. Many beautiful colors as a result of the sun shining through. And that's what I really believe your ministry is going to be like. You guys are the stained glass window, but from you guys is going to shine many different lights. And I think it's, you know, your ministry is going to be with your friend. It might be, you know, something else in business. It might be a lot of different things. But I really believe that because you guys, like, it's almost as if God has orchestrated you guys into the person that you are now in order to step forward and, I guess, fulfill the plan that He has for you. And what I found incredibly interesting, especially with people that are called together by God, is the fact that throughout life, it's like they're journeying and they have all these experiences and they get let down, they get encouraged, they learn, they grow, they become wiser, and you know, they make mistakes. But all of those things are lessons. And at a particular point, what happens is God brings these two people together. And now with all the substance behind, I guess, their experiences, all the substance behind, I guess, everything that they've gone through in ministry, like, you know, separately, now they come together and they become one. And they venture forward. And lastly, what I want to say is, like, I'm just so happy to see everybody here, because one of the things that we used to talk about as children was that Corinna wanted a wedding where family would be together, that everyone would be involved. And yeah, seeing everybody here, it's just, yeah, such a joy, because I guess, you know, as a girl, we always have dreams in which what we want as a wedding. And lastly, I just want to say, like, there's this particular scene from this book that I really like, and it's called The Count of Monte Cristo. And what happens is, in this book, ignore the storyline because the storyline's not really related, but this particular scene, what we see is these two people that grow up sort of together and they're in love. And there's a scene where they're up amongst the rocks, and the guy looks at the girl and then they're talking about future marriage, and he's like, oh, I gotta save up. I gotta, you know, save up and go away and come back and, you know, make sure there's lots of money, you know, so that we can have our wedding. And then the girl turns to the guy, and she says, I don't need a fancy ring. I don't need all those things. All I need is this on my finger. And what she did was she pulled out a piece of thread from this garment in which she was wearing, and she tied it around her finger. And that represented the marriage. It wasn't about the fancy things. So even looking around now, you know, I've seen fancy weddings, you know, out there, but this one is special because of the love that they have between one another. It's not about the fancy cars and the fancy, you know, decorations, and it's not about the fancy, you know, photographs that they can take and, you know, the catering and all that kind of stuff. It's really about, I guess, you guys coming together and just celebrating this wedding with them. And yeah, there's no other couple that I've met that have been so down to earth and have loved God so much. So I just want to say it's just a privilege to be able to, you know, share a little bit of Corinna Dakota with you guys. Yeah. Thank you.